Imagine a time when the world was divided by faith, greed, and war. The year was 1187, and the sands of the Middle East burned under the heat of endless crusades. But in the chaos rose a man unlike any other, a warrior whose name would echo across centuries, not for the cities he conquered, but for the hearts he forgave. His name was Salahuddin Ayyubi, the Sultan of compassion and courage. Born in Tareekh to a humble Kurdish family, young Salahuddin was not raised among luxury, but among scholars and soldiers. From an early age, he was taught that true power lies not in the sword, but in justice. When he rode into battle, he carried not just armor and steel, but the weight of mercy. While other rulers fought for crowns and thrones, Salahuddin fought for something far greater, honor. As the Crusaders tightened their grip over Jerusalem, the Holy Land bled under their rule. But whispers began spreading across the deserts and mountains, Ayyubi is coming. And when he came, he didn't arrive as a tyrant. He united the divided lands of Egypt and Syria, commanding armies of different tribes under one banner, La ilaha illallah. His enemies feared his name, yet admired his nobility. On the eve of the great battle of Hattin, his soldiers stood thirsty under the scorching sun. The Crusader army was trapped, desperate, and dying of thirst. And in that moment of victory, Salahuddin did something unthinkable. He ordered his men to give water to their enemies. Even the captives couldn't believe the mercy of the man they came to destroy. When the sun rose over the plains of Hattin, history itself changed course. The Crusader army fell, and Jerusalem, the heart of three faiths, was within reach. But as Salahuddin approached the city, he did not seek revenge. He remembered how, decades earlier, Crusaders had entered Jerusalem with rivers of Muslim blood. Now the world waited to see what Salahuddin would do. Would he answer blood with blood? Would he repeat history? For 3 days, the gates of Jerusalem stood silent, until the banner of Islam was raised once more over its walls. Yet there was no massacre, no revenge, no looting. Instead, Salahuddin declared safety for all. Christians, Jews, and Muslims could live side by side again. The same city that once wept in flames now breathed in peace. But his mercy didn't end there. When King Guy of Jerusalem, his greatest rival, was captured, people expected Salahuddin to execute him. Instead, he offered him food and shelter, saying, "Kings do not kill kings." Even Richard the Lionheart, his fiercest enemy, respected him deeply. Letters exchanged between them were filled not with hatred, but admiration. One Crusader knight once wrote, "If there was ever a man fit to rule the world, it would be Salahuddin." His greatness wasn't in his victories, but in the humanity behind them. As years passed, Salahuddin became more than a conqueror, he became a legend, a symbol of justice that transcended religion. When he finally entered Jerusalem, he didn't wear golden robes or demand tribute. He entered humbly, head bowed, whispering prayers of gratitude. Standing before Al-Aqsa, he wept, not for power, but for peace. Even those who opposed him couldn't help but feel awe. His rule became a rare chapter in human history where mercy triumphed over vengeance, and faith stood taller than arrogance. And then, as all great souls must, Salahuddin's time came to an end. When he died in Damascus, he left behind no gold, no palace, no treasure, only a broken sword and the legacy of a man who proved that forgiveness can be mightier than the sword. Centuries later, his tomb still stands quietly, visited by Muslims and Christians alike. They don't just come to see the grave of a warrior, they come to remember a man who changed what it meant to be powerful. In a world ruled by cruelty, he taught that compassion is strength. In an age of conquest, he showed that faith could heal nations. And so his name still whispers through the sands of time, Salahuddin Ayyubi, the conqueror who forgave.